Anyway, so this is the video I had to wait to do. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I greatly appreciate it. Like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show in any way that you can. I have to say that a couple of times, I think because I didn't do a show yesterday, a couple of people were either back watching some other videos or whatever, and they Venmo'd to support the show while they were doing it, and it came up, and I saw it appear on my phone. Mary, thank you so much, by the way. That when it came up, let me see if it's still on my watch. It does go back that far. I'm sorry. We had a couple of people do it, and it warms the cockles of my heart, and I would show them to you, but this is I would get a copyright strike or something, or no, I'd get a TOS strike, copyright strike. As my balls are copyrighted, my cockles are copyrighted. Yeah, so bless you for that support when these videos come up, and I'm not here doing a live show. When that happens, I'm like, oh, they didn't forget about me. Yeah. Yes, that's what it was. Thank you, Rallis Mom, that you tipped to PayPal for Chip. Yes. Lovely. So, this is the video I waited to do, and you'll see why. Now, this is Alex Jones, and I think he's got Roger Stone. I have not watched it because I wanted to save it. I feel one of the greatest comedies ever is the movie 2012. If you watched it in January of 2013, you know what I mean? Because when 2012 was coming up, there was a lot of like, oh God, maybe the Aztecs, who, quite frankly, predicted the end of their own civilization. Just they were a little early. Predicted that the world would end, or just died off before they could update their calendar. We're going to find out that they had planned an update. You can only have a calendar so big once you run out of stone. You're like, and I'm just telling you guys, and this works for 2,000 years, but in a couple thousand years, we're going to have to tweak this shit. Like, we'll be around. Yeah, the Mayans. Thank you. Beg your pardon. The Aztecs just, ate hearts and hope for one. Yeah. So anyways, when, if you watch 2012, it's like watching all like Y2K warning videos in 2000. You know what I mean? It's great. It's just so fun. Let's see. Hal, are you with Patreon? That's also going to, yes, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Please support. Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely. All right. So wait, why does it say banned video? Because they call it banned video. Because if you trademark it as banned video, it doesn't have to be true. It's like Fair and Balanced on Fox News it's a trademark phrase. And trademark phrases, the Supreme Court has ruled, aren't lies. Because technically, Coke isn't life, right? Which, one of my favorite stories of advertising ever is, of course, the Diet Coke ad they ran in Japan, where they wanted to directly translate the ad campaign that they had about Diet Coke in Japan, and they were like, just do it word for word. And when they did, the phrase came that they put up billboards all over Japan that said, Diet Coke, it brings your ancestors back from the dead. And so lessons about trademarking. So this video, and there'll probably be an ad for Prepper Food on this one too. This is on Alex Jones' show, June 29th, 2022. Got 9,746 views and 214 rumbles. I don't know why people didn't go back and give this a shit ton of rumbles after the fact. Why didn't they do it today? Let's see. Let's see. Sponsored ad. There we go. All right. Here we go.
I think he announces sooner rather than later. I think.
And by the way, I feel like I've been hit in the face with the ugly stick.
I think he announces as early as July.
As early as July.
I think these kind of attacks probably accelerate that, if anything. DeSantis needs to stick to his knitting and get reelected governor before he could move out openly in a presidential campaign.
Yes, that's what you want to do, is run on getting reelected in Florida when everybody thinks you're going to kick out. By the way, I think half of the voters in Florida that might vote his way, there's a bunch of like ones that hate the fact that they think he's shivving Trump, and he's going to run. But also the fact that like you're going to go through this whole process to elect this dude, and then you're going to have a fucking special election because you are damn sure he's not going to serve his whole term. He's not going to commit to serving his whole term. The one big call that'll come up, like you watch probably, I'd say September to October, that's when the push on DeSantis will come. And I think Nikki Fried should also, like reinforce this, her entire campaign. And Democrats down there should push this, like make him state out loud that he's going to serve his whole term, that he's not going to run for, governor of Florida and then run, halfway through pull a Sarah Palin.
I do think he is sizing up, taking on the champ.
The champ. Oh, is someone else besides Trump running? That's John Voight, right?
New national poll last week out of McLaughlin and Associates in the game.
Oh, McLaughlin, really? That's weird. You're going to tell me that a McLaughlin poll favors Trump? What are the odds?
The way pundit shows that Trump easily dispatches all comers. It's his race to lose.
Yes, and if we know Trump at all, he will lose because that's what he is. He's a loser. Even when he won the presidency, he lost the popular vote, and even now to this day, he's a sore loser. And the sore part is just a modifier. I think loser is the key character trait.
In all honesty, Alex, as I've said here on the program before,
excuse me, you have not. In all honesty is not a phrase you can legally use.
Expected the president to wait till after the midterms, but to become a candidate fairly early. I now believe that he could be accelerating his time frame because
he follows your advice, because he's a lunatic. Also, that picture behind him is creeping me out more than the Jeffrey Epstein shot. Seriously.
All of these attacks on him need to be seen in the context of the political attacks there are. And the reason they're attacking him is because they don't want him to run.
Well, yeah, but they don't want him. A lot of people don't want him to run on the Republican side. But the reason why Democrats, we don't want him to, it's not about running. It's about he doesn't deserve to be president. And so showing that is kind of important. We'd all like a functioning country.
So therefore, he will defy them, I think, by running.
Great. Yes. And I'm sure he can't wait to pass up on that sweet Save America money. He doesn't need it. Okay. That's why he's going to announce. That's why he announced. No, he didn't. That's why he's going to announce in July or on the 4th. I suppose he'll get around to saying that at some point. We're not going to do this whole thing because we know that they loop these videos on the Alex Jones show. They cut back and they do an ad and then they do the whole thing over again, whatever. But there is no fucking way Trump passes up the Save America money. He can't.
I do think it could be as early as the first week of July.
See, they do this shit, and then we'll see. Okay.
Up in their face, but they don't care. They just double down again with countries like Russia and Vladimir Putin, not just with the American people. It is insane. They've almost killed the dollar.
They've almost killed the dollar. They have 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 almost, sorry.
The BRICS group made up of Russia, China, India, and a bunch of other countries says they're leaving the dollar, and it's...
Yeah, it's going to totally happen. They've got, if you want to talk about trust between countries, look no further than Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Iran. Who else did they add? They added like 3 other countries. What are they going to do? Leg wrestle for their own Bitcoin? Get the fuck out of here.
It's happening. I mean, you talk about putting America into a collapse. You talk about...
No, nothing is even fucking close to that. The BRIC countries are not going to form their own unique alternative currency, you nutty fuck. Like, this happened. We dealt with this shit last August.
About running us over the rocks if we were a ship. This is it. Or crashing us into an iceberg. This is insane. This is our live Wednesday broadcast, June 29th. January 6th show trial whistleblower breaks record for congressional perjury.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck that is. It's just a made-up phrase. Who held the record up till now? Roger Stone?
Cassidy Hutchinson told provable lies repeatedly on national stage with help of Liz Cheney and other deep state operatives.
Well, for the record, there are no deep state operatives because there's no deep state. She's not an other deep state operative because she's an elected representative. She could very well lose her seat. And the deep state, if it does exist, you're talking about the bureaucratic people who are hired by elected officials to do the kind of structural work. And even those people can be relieved of their posts by the people that are elected by the people. So there is no deep state. Fuck you.
And now the Secret Service, by name, says they want to testify that none of what she said is true. And
yes, no, the Secret Service as a group is not testifying. And as a matter of fact, the story that came out, I think is probably right after this, which made a lot of if you'll notice she lied about the Secret Service and they're going to come for her and they're ready to testify under oath, fell off a fucking cliff when Rolling Stone and CNN talked to other sources in the Secret Service who said, yeah, shit, that story was all over the place. She's not the only person telling that story. A lot of these guys told that same story to a bunch of fucking people.
And they never told anyone that. No one ever claimed that Trump went crazy and tried to grab the...
Okay. Also bullshit. Hold on. Let's see. Other. I can type, sort of. Let's see. Two Secret Services. Oh, sorry. Whoops. There you go. Get down here. Two Secret Service sources told CNN that Trump angrily demanded to be taken to the Capitol on January 6th, partly confirmed Cassidy Hutchinson's explosive testimony. So we now have 3 people, 2 Secret Service sources that are, she's, according to everybody else, like the 2 guys that told her this story, Bobby Engels and Arnotto, both said, yeah, we'll testify that we didn't say that. Now, 2 other Secret Service people are saying, yeah, they did. They told her that. They told us that. They told a bunch of people that. And the question also, again, all that has to be true for her, and I do think this is a true story, but all that has to be true for her to be telling the truth is that she's relating a story she was actually told. They actually told her this. If the story is a lie, then they lied about it. Bobby Engels and Arnotto lied to her about it. That's the only point of contention at this point. And I also call bullshit on this. He's a little late to the game. Yeah.
Wheel and did all this. It is all made up. It's all.
No, it is not. It's not even close to all made up. And by the way, the fact that this asshole is consider the history of Alex Jones and consider the history of Alex Jones's opinions about government and about unelected government workers, particularly, which would include the Secret Service. Holy shit. Just look at the number of opinions he has had over the years. And then tell me that all of a sudden, this woman who testifies under oath is less on television, is not to be trusted, but these 2 assholes who have said they will testify under oath and that they either didn't tell her that it didn't happen or that they didn't tell her, or they think they can circle the wagon since it's just them and Trump. And they're not going to check the other people. We'll see if these guys actually show up and testify. I doubt it. I think they're going to say we offered to testify and they didn't take us up on it, or the Jan 6 said, yeah, you can testify to it, but we're also going to bring in people that say you did say that besides her. And then they'll go, they turned us down because we had conditions on how and when we would testify.
Also come out that she lied about who wrote a note and said that she did it when it's on record and already testified who did, and Cheney knew that and said nothing. And then, of course...
What? You mean the note that she scribbled out? What the fuck are you talking about?
There's this lie that Trump's supposedly telling Mark Meadows that Roger Stone's never even talked to Mark Meadows.
Roger Stone has never talked to Mark Meadows? Ever? That's weird.
To call him and General Flynn. I mean, lie after lie after lie. Here's one of them.
Yeah, let's see.
Ms. Hutchinson, is it your understanding that President Trump asked Mark Meadows to speak with Roger Stone and General Flynn on January 5th?
That's correct. That is my understanding.
And Ms. Hutchinson, is it your understanding that Mr. Meadows called Mr. Stone on the 5th?
I'm under the impression that Mr. Meadows did complete both a call to Mr. Stone and General Flynn the evening of the 5th.
They're doing it again, Roger. They claim that you were in command of WikiLeaks, never talked to Assange, never said you did.
What? Is this another hyperbolic straw man attack?
And now they're telling another whopper of a lie and pointing their finger right at you. How?
Trump told Meadows to call Roger Stone and Flynn for some strange reason. Because everybody is an assistant to him, and everybody's in on the plan, or nobody is.
How surreal is this, my friend? Please respond.
Well, thank you, Alex. It's deja vu all over again.
Yes, you're back on Alex Jones to lie about what you've done and who you've spoken to, and you believe that somehow that everybody involved is going to has agreed to keep the secret on pain of death, and therefore you can just bullshit your way out of this. He doesn't give a shit about lying under oath, clearly, or lying to the FBI or what have you, and neither does Michael Flynn, and certainly Trump doesn't. But it's like a big trust circle.
Not since the Ukrainian impeachment have I seen a more ham-handed, fabricated, loose, contrived narrative. This is essentially an elaborately produced television show with a fiction.
I think not elaborately, because if it was elaborate, they'd have like showgirls and stuff like that. It's a professionally produced
timeline that's one big infomercial against Donald Trump.
Yeah, but it's a good product, I will say, and I would stay up late at night to watch that infomercial.
If this was really a January 6th investigation, where is the stunning footage of the cold-blooded murder of Ashley Babbitt, the unarmed, decorated Air Force veteran who was shot in cold blood?
No, she was not shot in cold blood. She was actively breaching a barrier through a broken window. The guard did not walk up to her in a crowd standing around outside and just went, I don't like the cut of her jib, and blew her brains out. That would be in cold blood. That's what that means. He didn't just fire randomly, not caring who he hit, into a crowd. She was the first according to one of the assholes that was on MTG's stream, she punched a dude so she could be first through the breach. Also, Roger, I would like to, I would question whether or not you or Alex Jones would ever have an event where you allow anybody to carry a backpack into it without it being checked.
Without warning, without a stand-down order.
Without warning? You don't need a fucking warning when you're breaking through a barrier in a building you're not supposed to fucking be in. You're already trespassing. You are already participating in the overwhelm and the crushing of a cop's vertebrae.
And was completely unarmed. Where is...
and by the way, no one is completely unarmed if you have big baggy clothes on and a backpack and you are with a crowd of people marauding in a government building. Period. End of fucking story. And do you think, holy shit, do you think any of these assholes, remember the federal building in Portland? Remember all the firebombing that went on and all that kind of stuff? Do you think if one of the Antifa dudes had broken in through one of the doors and had been shot because he'd gotten through the door, that these assholes would be saying this innocent Antifa member was shot in cold blood by a federal guard or police officer? Get the fuck out of here. Of course not. It's an absurdity. The reason, like, they play this up, the fact that she was an Air Force vet or the fact that she wasn't armed, visibly armed. Now, again, remember, somebody placed fucking pipe bombs at the DNC and RNC headquarters when all this shit happened. There's a storm of people saying that they're going to hang the vice president. She's part of that crowd. She's got a backpack on. At what point do you allow people through these barriers while you're evacuating people and just go, well, I don't think she doesn't look like the bomb type. None of these assholes, including Alex Jones, would give a rat fuck if one of the Antifa members crawled through a window at the federal building in Portland and had their brains blown out. Forget it. They wouldn't. They'd say they had it coming, and you go, but they were unarmed. But you had a backpack on. You don't know what's in there. It probably had cans of soup.
Here's the footage of Roseanne Boylan being bludgeoned to death.
She was stomped by her own fucking people, dumbass. They dragged her to the cops that Trump supporters were attacking. The cops tried to revive her too.
By Capitol Hill police officers.
That she wasn't bludgeoned to death. They were giving her CPR, you dumb fuck.
Where's an examination of...
By the way, I'll tell you where that footage is. In your fucking head, because it doesn't exist, because that didn't happen. Neither did what he's saying about Ashley Babbitt. We saw that shit. Yeah, she was the woman that's Boylan's the one who was carrying the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, who was stepped on by Trump supporters.
Why the enormous doors of the Capitol that can only be opened electronically from the inside were open. Where are those facts?
First of all, they beat in the other doors. Secondly, they opened those doors with the actual button that allows them open. It's not like a magic switch. You don't have to, it's not like fucking National Treasure. You don't have to have a special iris code to, like walk up and they scan your irises. He's talking about, by the way, this particular magnet door story that they were telling each other, that this dude was like talking to somebody up here, and then the door wouldn't open, and then he talked to her, and then it suddenly does. The left door is open the whole fucking time. The right door has a switch on it that is right there. They opened both of them. It's just so lame.
Instead, they hype this up. So remember, Alex, it's key to recall.
It's key to recall my fake, made up bullshit.
We were told the hearings were done for June. Then they hastily said we have a surprise witness in newly found information. They won't tell anybody all day Thursday, all day, pardon the day before, who it is.
Oh, fuck you. And then
it's enormous hype, just hype. And they produce this woman who
did. And by the way, I almost think he fucking did that. That they didn't put it up, that he pushed a button to trigger a screen to come up. Like, he's that much of an asshole. That he's on InfoWars and he's got that on his feed to send to them. He could pop it up and just put it in front of his fucking face. And he did that.
not only tells
they didn't put that up, I don't think.
A completely fabricated tale now debunked by the Secret Service that Donald Trump pitched a fit when his detail refused to drive him to the Capitol.
Bullshit. That was a regular story. Anyway, that's, by the way, the story of him pitching a fit isn't new. Was angry, Jan 6, go to Capitol. Let's see. Let's see, like a year. Let's see, and go to Capitol. When was it? Like March, maybe. Because there was a story that came out. Let's see. 7-1. How close on? Case Trump allegedly. Because we just felt like I found this one before. Yeah, maybe we'll see this. Hold on. Yeah, here you go. Accounts of Trump angrily demanding to go to the Capitol on January 6th circulated into the Secret Service last year. While details of the accounts differ, the Secret Service sources say they were told an angry confrontation did occur, and their accounts align with significant parts of Hutchinson's testimony, which has been attacked as hearsay by Trump and his allies. Like Hutchinson, one source, a longtime Secret Service employee, told CNN that the agents relaying the story described Trump as demanding that the former president said something to, "I'm the fucking president of the United States. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad," something along those lines. The source said he originally heard that kind of language was used shortly after the incident. He had sort of lunged forward. It was unclear from the conversations I had that he actually made physical contact, but he might have. I don't know, the source said. Nobody said Trump assaulted him. They said he tried to lunge over the seat. For what reason? Nobody had any idea, except that it was fucking hilarious that Trump actually thought he could manhandle anyone. The employee said he'd heard about the incident multiple times as far back as February 2021 from other agents, including some who were part of the presidential protective detail during the time period, but none of whom were involved in the incident, meaning those guys told that story to them too, just like they told it to fucking her, and she related it. Right. And then the source added that agents had often recounted stories of Trump's fits of anger. Not just plates, the source added, a reference to how Hutchinson testified this week that she saw ketchup on the wall and porcelain plates shattered on the floor of the White House dining room after Trump had thrown his lunch at the wall upon hearing then Attorney General William Barr telling the media that there was no widespread fraud. By the way, I think he threw it at the television set and fucking missed, because the wall she described was near the flat screen that was over the fireplace. The other Secret Service source who spoke to the driver and another agent who wasn't there said he heard about Trump verbally lashing out his detail, but not about any physical altercation. Neither source told CNN they'd heard about Trump trying to grab at the steering wheel. Now, again, the story might have softened as these guys walked back what they were willing to tell people after they'd initially told a few people all of the story. They started not telling the more embarrassing parts because they were still on Team Trump. 3 of the people present for the encounter in the presidential SUV, a modified armored version of the Chevy Suburban, where Trump detailed later, were Bobby Engel and the driver, whose identity is not publicly known at this time. It's interesting whether that person is going to end up. I mean, somebody's going to figure that out, and just by going over the footage of them getting in and out of the vehicle. Hutchinson herself didn't see the incident firsthand. She testified at the Select Committee hearing that she was told it by then White House Deputy Chief of Staff Tony Ornato. Said Ornato told the story in front of Engel, and Engel was like all distressed and fucked up because it had happened. That was how it played out.
Tried to grab the wheel, physically impossible.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. They're still, by the way, this is a few days ago, so they're still telling the beast bullshit story.
Physically assaulted a Secret Service agent, also not true. And then there
It almost said also impossible because Trump is such a wuss.
there's this whopper, as you point out, that the president, she didn't say she heard, she said, is it your understanding? Yes, it's my understanding. What does that mean? She alleges that
Oh, Jesus Christ. Maybe it was them after all that put it up there. They're just going to talk over this and sell shit? They're that fucking broke? Jesus Christ.
the president told
But yes, do you feel yourself, do you feel any future erection you might have dying at the sound of Roger Stone's voice? Does it make your penis turtle at the thought of it? Try new InfoWars dick pills. They won't help, but at least you might die of lead poisoning before anybody notices your dick doesn't work anymore.
his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to call me and General Flynn on January 5th to discuss, to ask us what was going to happen on the 6th. I've never spoken.
Yeah, see, they're still selling the bullshit on this one. This is a piece of, this was all over Threads and on Twitter and shit like that. He wasn't in this car at all. He was in the SUV. We've dealt with this since then. I mean, it's great to watch. I'm sure Alex Jones walked this back. The truth teller that he is. Alex, I know you're watching. you know, it's not like you have friends to hang out with or places to be. You can't go outside. The lizard people will get you. Your friends can't fucking stand you. What are you going to do? Spend time with your family? You might violate some sort of protective order if you try that. So I know you're watching, and I know you know now that this isn't the vehicle. You knew then. You know, I mean, Alex was in D.C. He knew the president wasn't in this vehicle. He knows this image is a lie.
Spoken to Mark Meadows on the phone, ever. I met him once when he was a congressman.
He also, by the way, the biggest lie about that image, hold on.
To what was going to happen on the 6th.
The biggest lie about this is that Melania is smiling while she sits next to him. Also, interestingly enough, her head is bigger than his. And it's, you know, it's obviously elements of scale.
I've never spoken to Mark Meadows on the phone, ever.
Oh, so you FaceTimed. He reached you via, you Skyped. I've never spoken to him on the phone ever. Yeah, we always telegram and then get rid of it, or used, you know, WhatsApp or something, and then we would just, you know, be on video so we could hold up pieces of paper instead of speak in case we were worried about it. Fuck off.
I met him once when he was a congressman in the green room at Fox. Other than that, I've never spoken to him at all. I just heard from General Flynn. He also did not hear from Meadows. He's never spoken to Meadows on the phone on any occasion either.
Again, on video, though.
He met him once in December in the White House. So this is an effort.
The entire month of December.
To pull us into a narrative. As you know, Alex.
Also, the idea that he's met him once. He was his chief of staff.
You're subject to it as well as we are. To be very clear.
Why start now?
Any claim or insinuation or even implication that I knew about, was involved in, or condoned any illegal action on January 6th at the Capitol or on any other date and place is categorically false.
Well, that's the thing is, you were part of the crowd that thought Trump had the right to basically deputize the Jan 6ers, so you didn't think any of that was illegal. This is the same way Trump's going to get around. He's going to try to get around what he did in Georgia. When I asked for those votes, I wasn't asking for you to find votes that don't exist. I was asking you to find votes I knew existed because I believed 100,000 votes existed. So I didn't need you to find all of them. We'd work it out later. I just was trying to solve a crime. I trespassed to get evidence.
Nor was I involved in any of the legal efforts regarding the outcome of the election with Steve Bannon or Giuliani or any of these other folks.
Yeah, but that's because you're useless. That's no defense.
So let me ask you this. Clearly, they've been trying to ask you and me about Mark Meadows. You never talked to Meadows, neither have I. This is all made up.
What the fuck is he drinking out of? Jesus, I feel a lot less weird about my mason jar.
So we know it's coming from the committee. They're making this up and having her lie. Why would they have her lie about such demonstrably provable things that we didn't talk to Trump, you didn't talk to Trump?
That's not demonstrably provable that you didn't. First of all, like, proving a negative is impossible, and he knows it, so he's floating that bullshit. The other thing is that people aren't saying that you spoke to him. That's the whole thing. This was all done through intermediaries, you fuck.
General Flynn didn't talk to Trump about that?
About that? About what? I'm sorry, I'm choking on my own bullshit.
Or that day, or
sorry, I got I used one of my, took one of my own dick pills, got stuck in my throat. I've had a stiff neck all morning. I go, hello.
But expanding, why would she say he grabbed the wheel and tell such a crazy lie when she knew the Secret Service would come out and say she's a liar?
She told the same story that those two people told, and the rest of the Secret Service sources that are talking have also confirmed it.
Do they just think that a lie goes halfway around the world where the truth puts its pants on?
Yes, isn't that the InfoWars trademark banner underneath it? Like InfoWars. We bullshit so you don't have to.
This in two parts. If you can attack Roger Stone and Alex Jones on
This is a gateway pun. Mark Meadows, former aide Cassidy Hutchinson, who no one has ever heard of, has heard of, expected a surprise witness for sham committee hearing. Well, obviously Mark Meadows has heard of her. Obviously, Trump has heard of her now. And apparently he had heard of her when he personally didn't want her to come with them when they went to Mar-a-Lago, when she allegedly asked to go. And he didn't know who she was, but he'd heard terrible things about her. And therefore he turned her down personally, even though he doesn't know her at all.
on Twitter, then you can whip up a hysteria, which is the purpose of these hearings. So this is used for our
No, and by the way, you got a little Coke, like, right about there.
vilification. If you want to pull the names of the two of the most hated villains on the American left into any outgoing post, include the names of Roger Stone and Alex Jones.
No, I honestly, that's like getting like a stomach bug at Chuck E. Cheese and blaming the animatronic band. I mean, you're not, maybe seeing the sight of them would make you throw up, because it was such a difficult gastrointestinal problem. But we don't think they're chief evil. As a matter of fact, like I said, I personally am quite happy that Roger Stone and Alex Jones were involved, because that showed what a sort of pathetic attempt January 6th ultimately was, what a gang that couldn't shoot straight kind of crowd it was, and how it was never going to succeed because of the people involved. I feel quite relieved that Roger Stone and Alex Jones were part of it.
The level of hatred, the tsunami of hatred that this whip
Tsunami of hatred
up against us, Alex.
Yeah, nobody's going, no one is raging about Roger Stone and Alex Jones. Like I said, a lot of us are just think it's hilarious that Trump thought you guys could pull this off.
Is useful to these people, even though it is completely baseless. On the second,
I mean, she seems lovely. I think if there's a tsunami of hatred going anywhere, it's towards Cassidy Hutchinson. Also, by the way, someone that, and she seems to be haunted by the same ghosts that Don Jr. is. But she's, make no mistake, Cassidy Hutchinson isn't like a hero in my book, because she was all in. She literally recounted a story where she was talking to Mark Meadows that, that Jim Jordan made a speech on the floor of Congress and that it was great on January 6th. Are you out of your fucking mind?
issue, I am a little surprised. But look, these are the same people who made up and
What? I don't believe in witchcraft, but Alex Jones' childhood pals recall his talking in tongues. Yeah, he's a clown. People all around him made up. He's an asshole. And
edited the Ukraine phone call. It's the same exact people. This is an Adam Schiff production, and you should never forget that. So,
we won't. It's well put together. It's concise. It makes the point very clearly, and it upsets Trump. I mean, it's got everything you'd want from an Adam Schiff production.
Truth, facts have nothing to do with it, and of course, the lying by omission about January 6th. Where's the testimony of Ray Epps? When?
They've already taken a statement. It's not germane to anything. He told one of the maggots, don't attack the police, and then the guy did. That's it.
When is FBI operative Ray Epps?
Yeah, he isn't one. Again, these are talking points that died a long time ago, and Roger and Alex are just beating this horse.
Going to testify. We've seen video of him urging people into the building.
No, you haven't. You've seen him on the street the next day to go to the Capitol or go inside the Capitol at that point. But when it came, like a lot of maggots, once it came to the point where you had to go through cops to do it, he wasn't as convinced. He told the guy, don't do it. They're just doing their job, and they attack the cops anyways.
Urging violence. At the same time, you and Ali Alexander are telling people to pull back and not to go into the Capitol. He's urging people to go in. Where is his testimony?
So I asked the question again, and you just explained it.
Oh, okay. So this is Ray Epps whispering to the guy like, hey, man, they're just doing their job. And that's what this guy says he said. The guy who attacked the Capitol, that's what he says. He's like, dude, they're just calm the fuck down. They're doing their job. Just relax.
But why do they think they can get away with it?
And then this is the footage of him the day before, I think, or whatever, saying, go to the Capitol.
When they know there's phone records showing this call didn't happen.
No, they don't. You don't have phone records proving a call didn't happen. Secondly, it wasn't a phone call. It was a video conference from the White House to these assholes, either on a computer or using the setup there. I mean, look, notice how they're like phone called. Nobody called me on the phone. Nobody picked up the phone. Nobody used a phone. They didn't call me on the phone. No, like, why? Because you don't think FaceTime is calling? You don't think Skype is calling?
When they know that he didn't attack the Secret Service driver and try to take control of the vehicle.
No, they don't. She just relayed a story she was told by the people who were there, who are now walking it back.
He can't even get up to the front of the vehicle the way it's designed.
Jesus.
Why would they say that she wrote a note that's in the congressional record that somebody else wrote, who's testified they did? Why would she just tell lie after lie after lie?
Because they count on.
By the way, I don't know which part that he's talking about, which note. Because she wrote a note and, and then they changed illegal to like entering without permission, that part of it. And they'd scratched it out and it was in her handwriting. But somebody else had written out the actual note. Like that kind of shit. Is that what he's talking about? Because it so fucking doesn't matter.
On the fact that the initial charge.
Yeah, JD Sharp is saying how they didn't need to use phones to communicate. They all met at the Willard Hotel. Well, that was the thing, is that Mark Meadows was trying to go down to the Willard Hotel and could not arrange it. So ultimately had to video conference with them rather than go down there. And his orders from Trump were to go down there in person because there's no record at all. At some point, though, he's got to be aware that whether it's recorded or not, there's record of that video either on one of Mark Meadows' phones or on his computer in his conversation with them. And his conversations with them would not be covered by executive privilege, for the record.
Will get enormous coverage.
Again, we're showing the same fucking video. He wasn't in this vehicle.
Enormous coverage everywhere across the board in the Trump-hating legacy media. And they also know that it is only largely the conservative.
He means Fox, by the way.
Outlets like InfoWars, Breitbart, the National Fox.
Wait, InfoWars is a conservative outlet? I thought they were anti-government and pro-truth.
Frank speech. That will cover the fact that much of this is debunked. So
none of it is. And again, what's been, and by the way, well, maybe he's splitting hairs. Maybe what he's saying is that most of what he's saying has been debunked, and by playing fast and loose with pronouns and descriptives, he can kind of wiggle his way around it.
So, they still do their damage. Now they look foolish, but watch how quickly. The truth about this incident with the Secret Service agent rotates out of the press.
It actually, the backup of her story rotated into the press because more people came out and said, no, actually, they didn't just tell her that. They told us that, too.
Yeah, they have made the case that Trump is unhinged. That was the purpose.
Well, he was unhinged. Now he's just stupid.
And then they try to drag our names into it.
No, you were part of it, so they have to bring you up. Believe me, they wouldn't. If you're gross, Alex is gross. You're gross. You're gross people. Nobody cares. If you weren't involved, nobody would want you involved. Nobody's digging up ways to bring you into a conversation you're not a part of. As a matter of fact, the fact that Roger Stone and Alex Jones were even involved in this makes it harder to talk about in a legit way, just because it seems so ridiculous that anybody would think they would be functional operatives in the overthrow of the United States government. It's a joke in and of itself, but it's true. So they have to talk about it.
Just to whip up more hatred and more violence.
More hatred and more violence towards Alex Jones and Roger. Nobody gives a fuck. Seriously. I'm certain there are people who want to boo or spit on Roger, which I don't sign on to. Do not spit on people. Do not hit them. Don't touch them without permission. Don't slap Rudy Giuliani on the back and saying, "What's up, scumbag," or any of that. Don't do it. But anything further than that, nobody gives a shit. But again, these assholes consider it assault that there's always that guy standing there with a, Save Democracy sign behind them when they come out of court.
When we come back, I want to get your view overall the 2022 midterms coming up.
Hey, look, it's good that they're showing this car because it can show you how this isn't the fucking vehicle he was in at all. Thanks for doing that, Alex. You fucking tool. Hold on a second. Trump on Jan 6. There we go. Images. Yeah. So see that vehicle? Let's just solve this real quick. See that vehicle? Okay. And then let's see. Make this one a little bigger. And then see this vehicle? Look at that. See this? Oh, look. It's Jeffrey Epstein's riding shotgun. That's not creepy or anything. Shit. Yeah, that's, see the difference? See that fuck stick? There you go. That was just weird. Like because there's a green cherry picker in the background. Just for the record, just so these assholes know, that is a totally different vehicle on the day. Same, and here's another shot of it. That's the vehicle he was in. That's the same one he took a ride in when he did his lap. This is from when he was in Walter Reed with COVID. That's when this is from. They drove him by that by that crowd in that same vehicle. Notice how it is not the Beast.
And what tricks you think the deep state might pull, and also the situation with
the deep state. You know what? Talk dirty. Tell me about the deep state. Say establishment too while you're at it. Oh, it gets me so excited when they talk about the deep state and the establishment. I mean, it's Illuminati is so 2009. You know what I'm saying?
The economy and more, and just generally where you see the J6 hearings going. I know you're on record saying they've fallen on their face. Everybody else agrees. Low.
Yeah, they don't.
Ratings.
No, the ratings are actually great. Fox had to pick them up actually because they were eating their lunch in the daytime.
But they don't seem to give up. What do you?
Yeah, it's weird that they're not doing this for ratings. That seems strange, doesn't it, Alex? Somehow, does it seem odd to you that they don't seem to be doing it for ratings or to sell shit, but maybe just because it's true, like old school news?
What do you expect them to do next with 40 seconds?
Yeah, tell us in 40 seconds, just take that whole bullshit you were saying before and do a little truncated version.
Well, they have an audience of one, Merrick Garland. Can they convince him to?
No. But it's an audience of two, me and Merrick Garland. I'm watching all of them and I'm fascinated. I would argue that I'm more their demographic than Merrick Garland is.
To charge Donald Trump. I think that's the question.
He seems like a reader to me.
On the table. That's what they are seeking to do. They're seeking to write a contrived indictment of Donald Trump and hand it over to the Attorney General.
Yeah, this is the face of a man who believes what he's saying.
Wow, you talk about reckless. How could they convince this young woman to do stuff like this?
They didn't. She's just telling the truth. Here's the question, Alex. Who convinced you that this was a winning argument?
Well, what's particularly odious is the fact that she said all these things, yet after this period where she makes all these assertions against the president, she was seeking to join his staff at Mar-a-Lago. She
citation needed besides Trump.
was seeking to go into his post-president staff.
Sure, so it's
Again, I call bullshit on that. Trump has said that. I don't buy it.
sour grapes. It's sour grapes.
It's sour grapes. She's just mad she couldn't get a job after that, even though she has a job.
She's disgruntled.
Like, by the way, Cassidy Hutchinson, because she was kind of under the radar as she was, Mark Meadows, the Chief's chief. whatever. There's no way she would have trouble getting a job in the RNC circles or any of that shit if she was still on the team about MAGA or America First, even if she hated Trump, even after this shit. Yeah, but certainly before.
Employee, wow. We'll be right back with Roger Stone exclusive. Stay with us.
Oh, yes, exclusive because nobody else gives a shit?
Hutchinson.
Okay, and then I think they just play the same. They just loop the same thing. So this is Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. That is, that's according to Alex Jones. That is the prediction that Trump was going to declare his run on July 4th. And currently, that's yet another flying bull chip that came out of their mouths. Just saying. Enjoyable, not surprising, little stupid.